Interesting letter I'm just seeing here from the Rebbe to I don't know what the his title is, but he's a military police battalion, Fort Bragg, North Carolina. So he writes, although you don't mention it, I trust that this is the end of the letter. I trust that you are using your good influence to encourage your fellow Jews in service in the religious and spiritual matters, especially as under circumstances of military service, the boys are more responsive and receptive to such influences, and there is an extraordinary opportunity to bestow lasting benefits upon them. Interesting. Now this guy is a PS at the end, because he wanted Yechidus now. On the question of an appointment during Chol HaMoed, there are no appointments at this time in keeping with custom and tradition. I trust, however, that there will be other opportunities. The Rebbe's language is always so beautiful. Since we're waiting, I've read something else. This is Lashon HaKodesh from the Frierdiker Rebbe, who a different style completely to the Rebbe. The Rebbe never write like this. I'll read it here. Who sent it to me? Oh, the same person. I'll write in translation. This is you'll hear. It's for people in business and parnasa. It's a chassid. Yedidia is some chassid. In response to, I'll just say the second person, your letter. He writes third person. You are constantly bisrakshus u'b'pchodim, emotional and fearful, and every small thing in your parnasa appears like a mountain, and you anguish over it, and you get emotional. And the reason is the emptiness of the moyach of the brain from Torah b'chalal and the Nyoni Avodah especially. And this has been spoken about at length, that a Chassidische mechunach, someone who's been educated in the ways of Chassidus, has to ask himself, Admo, how much longer will he lie in blotta and then worry why the blood is not even higher over his head. Chazorbach, du tshuva. Bis weit verfahren, you've gone far off the track. Man darf lernen Chassidus, you have to learn Chassidus und davenen, und leben nach Chassidischen Leben, davenen und live Chassidische life. Hashem Yisborach yatzlichu begashmis ubruchnis, yeditcha hader shleimcha vevarachacha begud Frierdiker Rebbe. To tshuva, it's heavy stuff.
Very interesting how the Rebbe was the biggest nekusher to the Frierdiker Rebbe and showed what his kashrus is all about, yet a total different approach.
A different approach. There was never kemat any Rebbe that was different than his forebearers, like our Rebbe and the previous Rebbe. Although the Tzemach Tzedek was a big break for the Mittel Rebbe. But that was more in learning, but in the whole Hanhag, they're completely different. In many ways, the Rebbe's conduct was like a chassid of the Frierdiker Rebbe, But he said clearly, our generation is many times is b'derech kiruv, and it's with chesed, not with kavura, not with sharp rebuke. Although sometimes he did, and when he did, it was really strong. Okay, who's still coming in? Here we are. Okay, so let's look at the order, read it together. I sent it to someone who said to look at it tomorrow. Let's read it. The Frierdiker Rebbe in Toshin Tes states that prior to the Neshama's descent, seeing godliness, was only at the level. I sent it. It's a PDF. Only at the level of the etzem of the Neshama. He continues to say, this is all he says, the Yerida ultimately accomplishes that the Neshama sees Elikus also at the manifestation, Gilui dimension of the Neshama. Now there's with Seichel. and midas. End of quote, really, of the Frierdiker Rebbe. What does it come out? So the etzem seeing godliness remains the same as it was. What happens as a result of the Yerida? We now have an additional virtue. Godliness is apprehended, seen also by the manifested faculties of the neshama, intellect, etc. And these faculties now apprehend godliness on their inherently limited levels. This is not stated in the Arab, but this is what we're explaining. That's what he's saying. So before the Yerida, only the etzem. As a result of the Yerida, what is the aliyah that neshama gets? That now it sees godliness also with its keiches hageloyim. Our mind, but however, is saying that there'll be a quote-unquote change, chidush and ilui, even at the etzem level. Not that the etzem changes, etzem doesn't change, but it invites, as it were, the keiches hageloyim to its world, even though it's not doing it. But yeah, that's really what's happening. So let's see. The etzem level of seeing godliness will be experienced. What's the chiddush? That the etzem level of seeing godliness will be experienced by the conscious faculties themselves. The giluyim levels of the neshama will be one with the etzem, and therefore experience siyalikus from the etzem perspective. And what's that? That is to say, with total selflessness, without compromising the absolute and exclusive reality of godliness, just as the etzem and the neshama sees godliness. In other words, let me explain this. I could write a whole arichas here. It's not that when the Giluyim see, it's I see and I feel and I understand. There's still, the starting point is the I. Here, the Giluyim will be manifested. I understand, I feel, but in an atmisdik way, with total bittul, which means, can someone tell me what that means? How can you have total bittul when it's still a starting point or the consciousness remains? In one sentence. First of all, you understand what we're saying technically. Frierdiker Rebbe is saying the etzem remains the etzem. Now, even the lower levels will also see, but on their levels of consciousness, there are low levels. There's ego there. The etzem of the neshama is no ego. It's ego. It's a chilik kamim mal mamish. The Rebbe is saying though that the keiches hageluyim are going to see a likus on the atmisdik level. They're selfish, that's selfless, to put it in very broad terms. How could they be? How can they both be? If I'm understanding, the starting point of understanding is me. I'm understanding. I love. I love starts with I, then I love you. You comes third. I and my love connects me to you. Etzem is only the pshitos of alikus.
Is real unity?
So I'm asking, how is this possible? It's a nice word, but how do you have real unity and still maintain the consciousness, the self?
Yuri law, it's like a level of Yuri law.
Throwing more words, it's simple English. What does it mean? What does it mean? In one sentence, at that level, I understand you because you want me to understand you. It's a very different understanding. The starting point of my understanding, because you want a dirib b'tachtonim, including my tacht and seichel and midas. You want a dirib b'tachtonim. That's why I understand you. That's an atzmisdike understanding. We're clear this? Is this clear or not? Let's write again. Again, that statement there, without compromising the absolute and exclusive reality of a godliness, just as the etzem and the neshama sees godliness, which the Eibush is the only reality, that isn't compromised by the understanding and the experience. How can it be compromised when something else is understanding and experiencing you? Because that's what you want, so it's still all you. The starting point is you. You want and the neshama to have keiches hagiluyim and to understand you. That's why I'm understanding you. That's the truth of it. Understand? Yes. So, yeah. Okay. Let's go further. So it's not only about having an additional experience on another level of the neshama, as the Frierdiker Rebbe is stating, but that even where there always was the experience of it, because the etzem level, there's going to be a tremendous change in as much that this very experience, which till now was only possible, it's total bittul at the etzem level, is now experienced by the conscious faculties of the neshama giluyim, because the etzem will be one with the giluyim, and that we explain what that means.
Right now, is it unconscious understanding of this?
The etzem, we don't use the words even understanding, seeing elikus. The etzem of the neshama's relationship with the godliness is ein oid milvadai, complete bittul. The word conscious is a loaded word. There's some level of awareness, yeah, but the awareness is totally you. There's one word in the etzem's language, you. So there is consciousness, but what is it? You. Not I love you. Just you. The etzem says one word, you.
So
Eibishter, huh?
the finish is that the intellect and emotion, the person themselves, are going to see godliness, yet
And understand.
still exist.
Still exist.
Not be
No,
completely nullified. That's the condition.
yes.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, but there is a level. No, that needs to be qualified. Because the Frierdiker Rebbe is saying that they're going to see godliness. So what does it mean? Unpack that. It means they're going to see levels of godliness that can be apprehended and understood. Not the relationship classically between the Koiches HaGeluim, Seichel, and Midas. We talk about Atzmos, but in terms of understanding, you're only understanding Giluyim of the Eibishter.
Because they're limited, what the Frierdiker Rebbe is saying, because they're limited.
They'll understand
They
limited.
will still exist, but therefore it will be limited.
Therefore, what?
They will still have their own existence.
And therefore, that now I'm adding to that what levels of lachs b'noyim Hashem, what levels of elikus will they relate to? Also, levels of elikus that can be understood. The etzem relates to the etzem of elikus. Einid mulvada. The chiddush will be that the koiches hageluim will also have the einid mulvada sense. You're conscious. Because Eibishter wants these things, therefore they exist, but not because they have any value per se or reality per se. The starting point Yichud Yalo is Eibishter, therefore creation. Yichud Yalo is this me, that's my starting point, consciousness, and I acknowledge where I come from. I love you, understand you.
You mean that's Tata?
What?
You mean that's Yichud Tata?
That's what I said, no?
No, you said
Whatever.
whatever.
So I'm going to write another sheet to explain this. Okay, good. It's good for me too. Thank you. Get to the next paragraph. So we're clear. Okay, so let's be clear on the chiddush of this maamer over the Frierdiker Rebbe's maamer, even though it's based on the Frierdiker Rebbe's maamer. The Frierdiker Rebbe says, say back to me, no, in your own words. The Frierdiker Rebbe says what? Huh? Yeah. Now, what does that mean? On their level. And what levels of elikus are they seeing? Levels, meaning, yes, it has to be levels of elikus that can be understood. Seichel, that can be understood. The Rebbe is saying there'll be a change there. All of a sudden, as it were, in etzem, is not just the etzem, but what? The koiches hageluyim there. So seichel and midas is on the atzmizdika level. It still remains seichel. It'll be the understanding of elikus and all of its levels. But elikus too will be appreciated. All of these midas of the Eibishter and so on. The mile is not that chacham is a virtue and chesed, a virtue and igval. No, it's because it's all you. You chose to. So every understanding of elikus will be an atzmizdika understanding.
Where it's starting.
The starting point is the etzem, is you. You, therefore. You want me to understand, there is understanding. And you want me to understand, therefore he manifested that which can be understood. Therefore, he manifested this way. Everything is all based on the starting point you. You're nisave, basically. You're nisave. That's the Etzem's perspective. Yeah, now we're clear. Clear. Raised eyebrow means getting there. What does it mean?
Clearer, that's what he said. Clearer.
So say it in your own words, and as you say it, it helps you. Yeah, the words, the atzmis the gekeiches of seichel, and compels you to clarify it. No, Zog. Friedrich Rebbe is saying what?
Friedrich Rebbe is saying that Etzem has a re'iyah.
Only the Etzem has
Has
that.
its own re'iyah.
Yeah.
And the Kris Galulim will have their own re'iyah. That's what's going to be added. And
Until now, before the idea the keiches hagelurim were in the dark.
yeah, but they're going to have a re'iyah, but not Etzem's re'iyah, their own re'iyah. And now the Rebbe's come along to say
Now let's just zero on that. So the keiches hagelurim, of what level of alikus are they therefore going to be seeing? If you're understanding and seeing it, keiches hagelurim is going to match. Chacham a bit.
and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So, and then the Rebbe is coming and saying, Etzem has a re'iyah. And the Keiches Galuyim are going to have that re'iyah, not their own re'iyah. The re'iyah that Etzem has of Elikus, meaning that Elikus is me and I am Elikus, and we're undistinguishable from each other in the sense of our connection, and
Yeah.
Elikus is everything.
Alikus is me.
Not is me, is the
The Shoma, well, the way you could say about that, what does that mean? That sounds like the grandest, the most egotistical thing. It's me because, just add a sentence.
because of I'm Etzem.
Because that's what you want. Because you wanted a chelik alika, and you wanted to manifest keiches hagelurim. Everything about me is only because that's your decision. It's all you.
You could maybe see it in the pasuk that the Friedrich Rebbe brings, because it's not re'iyah, it's lachzos. Suddenly it's like, it's a different level, it's more like a vision, it's not the clear re'iyah, even though it's the same kind of, the same idea, but it's not the same.
Yeah, but I wonder if it's higher or lower. Usually, lach says, behold,
Chazan is like a nevuah, right? It's not the.
it's distant. Ri is closer, l'chayre, and yeah, okay, good point. Okay. Now continuing let's continue the second part of the ha'ara. That's umizem moving. That's that part of that ha'ara. Similarly, let's look inside. You want to look at the aliyah of Golos. Now, as I'm thinking, okay, let's read it. Will not only be that we will then experience something additional, the revelation of a level of melech, that is to say, that which is higher than understanding and seeing, which was never revealed before, right? But even the experience of Zman HaBayis, when there was understanding and seeing, that too will be transformed. Because the understanding and seeing will not be as a result of godliness revealed to us, and hence imposed upon our nature, but because nature, Mate itself, will see and understand the likus. Okay, what are we saying here? First, before we note the similarity, and then we'll see actually it's different, but there's a similarity and a difference. But first, what's it saying? Just this paragraph on its own is fairly clear, yes. What's it saying? What's the model? There's an obvious model to the previous paragraph. Not just an addition, but a change in that which was. That's the parallel, correct? He said, the Friedrich Rebbe said that only the Etzem saw, and he goes on to say that's not going to change. There'll be an additional thing, the Keiches HaGiluyim, and we're saying no, that even at the Etzem level, this Kvayochel, as it were, a change, because the Keiches HaGiluyim were there. Here too, not only an additional, but what was will be transformed. You tell me what that is. No, just not restated. I mean, just summarize with that paragraph. Mikdash Golos, talking about Golos. Just the paragraph we just read. Not only this, but this. Only what, but what? Not only will there be
Based on the straight
what?
revelation based on alphas, it'll be based straight.
Okay. Yeah, so just tell me Here's the formula. Not only will there be an addition which wasn't, but they'll also transform that which was. You know? So what are we talking about? So yeah, Mashiach will come in his Galadinian of Melech. That's an addition, never revealed before. But the level of Rav, which is Seichel and Havana Vasog and Re'iyah, we learned in the mind before that Rav includes two things. In Rav, Hasoga and Re'iyah no Likud, that's all Rav. To some degree, that was by the time Beis Hamikdash. There was Re'iyah Likud and Havana Vasoga. That too, that's going to be transformed. What, now tell me what's going to be the transformation? Just this paragraph alone. We'll link it with the previous one soon. What's going to be the transformation? The Havana Vasoga now. He said before, it wasn't still Ba'ifan TV. It still wasn't Ba'ifan TV then. Why not? Even Mizman Abayis. Because it was Ba'ifan TV, it would be everybody. It's only in this place, and this Navi, and this person. Not everybody Shaykh Teriyas Elikus. What's going to be the Chiddush Lasid Lavoi? Because, last line of that paragraph, it'll come from the Mata. The tchunas of the Basar Gashmi, he said, the properties of the physical flesh and eye will see likus. So the superficial parallel between these two paragraphs is this model. Mashiach comes, ultimately, it's not only we're getting additional, but which is transformed. But there's a difference. If you just probe deeper a little bit, the first paragraph is the Chiddush is wherein, well, it comes down to the same thing, but the first paragraph emphasizing is that then only the Etzem saw, and now the Koyches HaGeluim will see in the level of Etzem. We could talk it either way. Okay, so we'll drop that. Yeah, you could say the other way. He could say here is that the Chiddush is more in the Koyches HaGeluim, and then the Chiddush is more in the Etzem. But you could also talk it the other way. All right. Now, the final paragraph. This is going to unite the two. Unite the two chidushim here. That the mata itself can say likus. And that the koyches HaGeluyim can have an atzmis dika perception, even though consciousness remains. It's with total bittul. Yeah? All of this, the final paragraph, is because the whole intent of the tzimtzum is not simply to create a place where we can exercise free choice, overcome the yitzhar, and earn a just reward, not a means for an end, not a helim, not a real helim to overcome, and then a place elsewhere. No, says the Fifth Rebbe. This is what the Salman is saying. But because Hashem wants us to not experience Him as we are finite beings, neshamas begufim, which is what the tzimtzum produces, neshamas begufim. Hashem wants us to experience Him in tzimtzum, in gvul. Dirib tachtoinim, tzimtzum b'shvil hagilui. Finally, this truth can only be revealed mitzad atzmusay, where taka hel and megillah are all Him. So it comes out. So what's this final paragraph? The final 3 lines here are critical in the whole thing, because how is it possible, taka, to have both things at the same time? Koyches HaGeluyim, which is self, and the complete bittul of etzem, tzad because everything is all Him. All of these manifestations are all Him, despite their Hagbolah. And that's why a guf gashmi, it's a nivra, but a neshama and a guf gashmi, mitzad its own tchunas can see likus, because ultimately gvul is a likus. That's what created our Hagbolus, is Keich HaGvul, and that's a likus. That's all mitzad atzmos is that experience. That helim and gilui is all Him. Koyches HaGeluyim and etzem is all Him. The helim of the tzimtzum is all Him. There's no substitute to racking your brains. It's a project, thinking it through, thinking it and thinking it and thinking it. Okay, maybe we'll write some more little artists. But overall, is it somewhat clear, folks? Yeah. Guys on the Zoom. Yeah. Okay, good. Ramotche. He sees. You guys are showing that even in the Helem and the Tzimtzum, they're still there. B'chol HaTokef. We don't see their faces, but they're there. B'chol HaTokef. Oh, now there's Gilu in Helem. Ephraim just shows himself. We assume he's still there. Okay.
Eli and Helen show the picture of themselves, but they're not actually there.
Well, it's just a frozen picture. Yeah, that's a frozen Gilui. You know the between a chassid and a snagid. Snagid is perfect. It's perfect. You know, that's and so everything's beautiful. It's a picture. It's frozen. The chassid is not perfect. Is full of flaws. But he's
In some ways, Aaron Spira's voice without his face is also Mila.
That's only because you're not here.
That's a Gilui without the etzim, without the voice.
Have a Zoom just of the sheer people in-house. Should have a camera on the people in-house.
There is. David's camera's playing. Okay. Now we're ready for Order 60. Order 60. Here we go. I'm pretty sure that I'm trying to find out. I think the Rebbe actually wrote it. I want to find out. Well, it's enough he edited, believe you know. It's also good, but it's different. I don't know. Often they ask questions, and the Rebbe writes a order, and that's it, and then they just put it in as is. It could be. I'm going to ask Chaim Shol, he would know. 59 and 60. For that matter, if you would know which are, okay, sure. What did 60 say? Let's read again. Let's just read those few lines of the second paragraph of Ches. So in light of all of the above, we'll understand why the Frierdiker Rebbe adds that in order to understand what? The Frierdiker Rebbe adds the words, you need the Tzedek Aliyah to understand what happens in Golos, that the Gilui L'Asad Lov, it comes dafka through the avoid in Golos, we understood. We understand you did some Shama Lamata. And then adds the word Shayidi L'Tzedek Aliyah. So this is those few words that is added by him. This is the whole foundation. That meaning to say, again, that the Aliyah is in the Yerid, not a means to an end. So okay, continuing. So with this, he's explaining the question. With those words, he's also explaining our question of our Maimon. That which is that the avoidance managolos. What are we going to have? Not only things high, not just Melech. Okay, we can understand the Gilui of Melech higher than Asog and the Re'iyah because the avoid is Mesiras Nefesh and Kabbalah Soil Midas Hanitzach. But as a result of our avoid, where there is no seeing and there's no understanding, we're going to precipitate the inyan of Asog and the Re'iyah Likus. How does that work? We didn't make the Keli. There's no analogous avoid. So in light of all of the above and understanding the whole nature, that the whole kavanah of the Yedida is Gilui, so even already in the Helim is Giluyim, is revelation. Okay, so now 60. So what did he say? Again, in the Pinim, we'll have not only that which is beyond Seichel, Lagamba in Yonim, the Asaga V'Re'iyah, Shemashich Egal Oisim Torah, as he'll reveal as a Rav. That we'll experience too as a result of Avodah now. So 60. Elagam and Yonim Dasaga Uriya. Let's have a look at 60, friends. Remember, I didn't. We'll do it together. Shine. So what we're saying now, the whole point is that the tzimtzum itself will be experienced. What does it mean? It's transformed to light. Can someone tell me just what that means? If you're transforming the tzimtzum to oil,
It means that you'll see the whole purpose of.
Let's just
it's
my question.
tzimtzum.
Hang on. So what I'm asking is, turning it into light, you just got rid of it. That's it. You replaced it with oil. No. In other words, when it's dark and you turn the light on, you didn't transform the darkness into light. You dismissed it with light. We were talking about hafichas hatzimtzum or the cheshech to oil. So what does that mean? Not just a means, even deeper. The tzimtzum koyach, even clearer. The koyach hagvul is eibishter. That's it. Kishem shesh lekoyach lahor, yesh lekoyach shalei lahor. Kishem shesh lekoyach bilti bagvul, yesh lekoyach bagvul. Gvul is no less a chosen expression of him than bli gvul is. Told you. How do we do that in brackets again? Through that, we come to appreciate that the point of the tzimtzum is not hide from us, but because you want to be revealed to us. Now, there's more. There has to be another point. You want to be revealed to us. What produces us? In our finitude? Tzimtzum. Without tzimtzum, we would not exist. So the tzimtzum is it's kind of two things which you want. To produce us and to be revealed to us as we are in our limitations. So now that's the deep dive. So this transformation, let's just say the words. So the transformation is going to transform even the Rabbi. When he says before Kanal Baruch B'fnim, I think he means, because before we said, in order for the tzimtzum to exist, the Rabbi had to be withdrawn. And now that we're saying that the afichas hatzimtzum to oil is going to affect the Rabbi, Vehain benigeya legila irakav, and likewise, it will, once the tzimtzum is transformed, it will transform the irakav, the finite revelation. See ayin beis. Shakeli mishapech v'nase gamken k'maya oir. The keli gvul becomes like the light. Umeir b'zeh ha'oir. Umeir b'zeh ha'oir. I'm not sure the b'zeh is the keli. K'mayishu be'etzeh. That's just. Yeah. Shakeli is, yeah. Let's continue. They won't just read the words. Hanging the ear. Said Gilead Abligvul. Vinyan Asogash, said Gilead Akav. Bam the Vedas Agolo, Shal Yodan is gone. Shakavanat Sad Simpson, Mishul Gilead. Okay. The Chayr of the Pshat is like this. Huh? If you're trying to imply something else. Right. But it doesn't say it strongly. I don't, but it means the same. It doesn't mean something else. Okay, let's understand what this means here. It means like this. Okay, listen up, folks. Nothing. So, the Maila, again, how does it all begin? Because the Eibishter once did it b'tachtonim. So dir b'tachtonim implies there's Elyon and there's Tachten. Elyon is virtuous, Tachten is not virtue. It's distance, it's low, eclipse, concealment, ego emerges, all of the chesoinus of the Tachten. And that defines all of Seder Shtalshos, that truth. Higher is higher and lower is low. And all kavan is b'shvil hagiloy. Okay, so let's walk this through. He's saying there's going to be change in both the Era Bligvul and the Era Gvul. The change is simply this. Put it in comic language. Before the Tachlis has been achieved, the transformation of the Tzimtzum, Bligvul said, I'm closer, and Gvul said, I'm further. The transformation is going to be Bligvul, I'm not closer than Gvul, and Gvul, I'm not further than Bligvul. That's the change. And that's what he brings to Mayim Beis, that the Keli becomes like the Oid and illuminates. Because from the Etzem level, from Atzmos, Bligvul and Gvul is all him. And that's what's going to be revealed. That's what's going to be experienced. Prior to our Avodah having achieved that, Atzilis is close, and Bri is further, and Yitzir is further, and Asi is further. That's the whole point. Sedish Talshalis. The Kav is compromised Elikus. Era Bligvul is uncompromised Elikus.
So I'm saying the mile of the Tzimtzum that we're going to see there, is it
The mile of the transformation, it's Hafichas Atzimtzum.
But he's saying that what we're really going to see is that the mile of the area that's in the Kav is the same. It's not the Tzimtzum per se. It's the order that has been Mitzamsem is just as good. Let's to use simple language as the order Bligvul. The order Kav and the order Bligvul are
Which means the Tzimtzum. God's hiding himself, it's simple language. God's hiding himself is no one expression of him as God revealing himself. He is hiding, he is revealing. From our perspective, till we transform that, when he's hiding, we're left in the dark. From our perspective. The whole kavanah of Golus and Neshama coming lamata in the tunnel is to reveal that no, in the dark, that's him. The darkness is him. Adarab, it's even a deeper expression than the Bligvul. On some level, Yoshes Cheshes Sisra. The my bottom of Basilagani, that Keich HaGvul Bemes is even a deeper, first, a more primal expression of God. Even though ultimately it's all equal. But so the three stages. Gvul is less. Gvul really is higher, and then ultimately equal.
Where this footnote is on, it's talking about the Indian or the mile of Hasagin, or it's talking about Hasagin Re'iyah, right? So, and in the footnote, I don't know if I read ahead or if you said it already, so I'm jumping ahead.
Where are you going?
The last line of the footnote is talking about the Indian of the Re'iyah, which is from our Bligvul.
Oh yeah, let's read that together again.
From the Gilead Cub, right? So again, the Tzimtzum per se, its value is in that it gives us the Eirikav where we don't see everything, but the value is in the Eirikav and the Hasaga that comes from that, and the fact that we need to use a Veda to have that Hasaga, and not in the Tzimtzum itself, except for that it's been summed into the Eirikav.
I'm not sure what you're saying. Let's read together the last two lines again. Therefore, so there's two in Yonim. There's going to be Lasid Lavoi, which already worth some degree in Beis Hamikdash. The two in Yonim, two ways of Giluyim. Gili Bligvul, Gili Gvul, right? There's Seiv and Mamalit. Tzimtzum, Kav, and Bligvul. So therefore, the Inyan Adi, which is going to be Mitzad Era Bligvul, is all possible because of the Melech property, the Etzem property. So therefore, the Inyan Adi Ish Mitzad Era Bligvul, we're going to see that which is not apprehensible in Seichel. That's what are we going to see? Era Bligvul. We'll have an understanding of the Eibishter's Midas, etc. The Gili Akav, Ishtalshalus. This is Golus is what brings the Re'iyah and the Hasaga. Why? This is really answering. Shal Yodan is Gala because through Golus is revealed. Shekavonas Hatzimtzum Vishvila Giloi. He's adding, this is another point he's adding over here. Since the whole kavanah of the tzimtzum is experience again. Tzimtzum per se causes us not to see an experience. But the whole kavanah is that we should experience him even in the tzimtzum. Therefore, the experiences of godliness, the ear and the asaga, also come dafka to the avoid of Golos. Okay, we're going to revisit those two lines tomorrow, Be'ez Hashem.
Yeah, come through. So I need to figure it out to have an asaga of what is Elikus, and I have that because the Tzimtzum creates an arakav, and the arakav I can through that have a asaga of Elikus.
He's explaining why in Avodas Zman HaGolos, which says Kabbalah Se'elim Mitzvah Nitzachin, that's why we're able to have Re'iyah and Hasaga. That's what he's saying over here now. It's in these three lines that the answer of the Maimer is answered. It's not in the Maimer itself so explicitly. It's here. Okay, we're going to revisit that tomorrow.